Usually when you think about relaxing after a long, exhausting day, the blueprint is pretty straightforward. You picture putting your feet up, maybe taking a deep breath, and just letting your brain power down for the night.
Right. I mean, it's supposed to be this act of subtraction.
Yeah.
You remove the external stress, you strip away the noise of the day, and you just kind of exist in a quiet space for a minute.
Exactly. But then you look at what we actually do in practice. We sit down to supposedly unwind, and instead of powering down, we just pull out a glowing rectangle from our pockets.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
And that little piece of glass systematically feeds us like every possible reason we are inadequate or behind schedule and just fundamentally failing at life.
Which is the absolute definition of a modern relaxation paradox.
Oh, totally.
We're actively seeking peace, but the mechanism we choose plugs us directly into this high voltage source of anxiety.
So backwards. But welcome to today's deep dive, where we are unpacking this highly relatable cycle. We're looking at why we try to unwind online, how we fall into that spiral of comparison, and how app developers are actively trying to design their way out of this exact mental trap.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating area of user research right now.
It really is. Today, we're looking at a transcript from a UI, a user interface design project. The researchers interviewed a user named Daya about her digital habits, and let me tell you, reading her transcript felt like someone had secretly recorded my own evening routine.
I think a lot of people are going to feel that way. Her experience is just this perfect case study in the friction between human behavior and digital design.
Right.
The UI researchers are basically trying to understand the exact moment a tool stops being helpful and starts becoming actively harmful.
So let's jump right into that trigger point, because what sends Daya looking for a mental health solution in the first place? It all begins with our everyday, seemingly innocent social media habits.
Right. The key word there is innocent.
Yeah. Her initial intent really is harmless. She tells the interviewer that she opens social media during her free time just to kill some time. Maybe she's looking for light entertainment or checking in with friends or even doing a tiny bit of background work.
And that initial intent is almost never malicious toward ourselves, right? Your brain is just seeking a state of passive dopamine. It requires absolutely zero physical or cognitive effort to just swipe your thumb upwards.
It's just mindless scrolling.
Exactly. So initially, it feels like a break.
Right.
Physically, you're doing nothing, so the body registers it as rest. But mentally, the landscape shifts entirely underneath you without your conscious permission.
Because it doesn't stay harmless for long. She notes that the issue really arises with the duration of the scroll. When she's on these apps for too long, that innocent intent just completely backfires.
It does.
It triggers this profound, heavy state of overthinking. I mean, if we know scrolling reliably makes us feel exhausted and inadequate, why does our brain still categorize it as a break?
That's the trap, right? The transition from passive consumption to active, punishing comparison is subtle, but it's devastating. As humans, we are evolutionarily wired to monitor our status within the tribe.
Oh, sure, to see where we fit in.
Right, kept us alive thousands of years ago. But when you open a social app to disconnect, you're actually plugging your brain into a hyper-accelerated, high-stakes, global social hierarchy.
Wow, yeah. It's like going to a relaxing spa to decompress, but instead of playing calming music, everyone in the sauna is just shouting their glowing resumes at you.
That is exactly what it feels like. And it goes deeper than just a loud sauna. In a real physical arena, your conscious brain at least knows you're in a fight.
Right.
Here, your conscious brain thinks you're resting on the couch, while your nervous system is essentially fighting for its survival status. You see members of your extended network achieving things, buying houses, getting promotions, traveling.
All the highlight reel stuff.
Exactly. And your ancient brain interprets that not just as pleasant updates, but as a direct threat. They are advancing, which means you are in danger of being left behind.
And Daya actually puts a name to this feeling in the interview, and it is just a brilliant term. She calls it Achievement Dysmorphia.
Such a powerful phrase.
Right. She describes this intense, suffocating feeling of seeing everyone else appear super successful online, which immediately makes her feel totally stagnant. She repeatedly uses the phrase, feeling like she is still right here.
Dysmorphia is a distortion of perception. So the danger of achievement dysmorphia is that you're no longer comparing reality to reality.
You're comparing your messy, behind-the-scenes life to a curated feed.
Exactly. To everyone else's filter-heavy highlight reel. And the UI designers, noting this in the transcript, they're seeing a massive structural problem here. The infinite scroll feature, which is obviously designed to keep you on the app as long as possible, is the very mechanism fueling this dysmorphia.
Because there's no end to it.
Right, there are no stopping cues.
Which explains the physical toll she describes. She explicitly tells the interviewer that this habit leaves her feeling physically exhausted. She gets incredibly anxious and then gets hit with this intrusive thought, I must be like this too.
It just spirals.
It really does. It transforms what was supposed to be a 5-minute brain break into this heavy, burdensome struggle.
Because your brain is running a marathon while your body is horizontal. It's processing hundreds of social data points a minute, calculating your relative worth against strangers. Of course she feels exhausted.
Totally. Her cognitive load is completely maxed out.
Right, by an app that was literally marketed to her as a way to connect and relax.
So she reaches this breaking point where the phone has become a literal burden. Now, you'd think the natural response is to throw the device across the room, turn off the lights, and just go to sleep.
You would think so.
But she doesn't. How she escapes this cycle is where the UI designer's transcript gets incredibly interesting, because counterintuitively, she seeks out a completely different screen.
Yes. Her immediate coping mechanism is basically a masterclass in how we try to self-regulate in a digital environment.
Yeah.
Her very first step is forceful extraction. She has to actively sever the connection to the feed to stop the comparison spiral. But she doesn't retreat to nature or anything. She opens her laptop.
Which is wild. And her reasoning is fascinating. She says the laptop holds fewer distractions than her phone. And what does she do on this less distracting screen to calm her racing mind?
This is the best part.
She starts studying. She literally turns to educational work to relax.
It's such a pivot. And this is the critical moment for the UI researchers conducting the interview. Because this behavior, turning to structured study to alleviate social anxiety, is exactly the psychological phenomenon the designer wants to tap into.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they propose a radically different concept for a mental health app to diet based on this exact behavior.
Because normally when developers pitch a mental health app, the default wireframe is pretty predictable. It involves a soothing voice telling you to close your eyes, focus on your breath, imagine a flowing river. Traditional audio meditation.
Right, the standard mindfulness toolkit.
Exactly. But the interviewer explicitly notes in the transcript that for them, and apparently for a huge segment of users, that traditional audio meditation feels wildly ineffective. It just flat out doesn't work.
Yeah, the designer realizes that putting an overthinking, anxious user into a quiet room with their own thoughts is often a recipe for disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It just amplifies the noise.
Exactly. So instead, they pitch an app that replaces the meditation audio entirely with structured educational courses.
Wait, really? Courses?
Yeah. They are essentially proposing an e-learning platform specifically disguised as a mental health intervention.
And Daya completely validates this concept. She is immediately drawn to the idea because it makes her feel productive. She prefers what the transcript refers to as productivity-based healing.
Productivity-based healing is such an interesting concept.
It really is. She specifically mentions relying heavily on the Pomodoro technique to get through this. So she's using that strict 25-minute work, 5-minute rest cadence, not to get ahead at her actual job, but to actively soothe her anxiety.
Right. She finds profound psychological safety in that rigid structure. And from a UI design perspective, this is a massive shift. A meditation app is boundless, right? It's open-ended.
Yeah, just you and your thoughts for an indeterminate amount of time.
Exactly. But an e-learning module or a Pomodoro timer has hard defined edges.
I have to admit, I struggle with this paradox a bit. Using a highly structured study technique to cure burnout feels a bit like treating a caffeine crash with a double espresso.
That's a funny way to look at it.
Right. Like, is productivity actually a form of self-care here, or is it just a different flavor of the same pressure to achieve that was making her anxious in the first place?
Well, I wouldn't say it's adding caffeine. It's more like putting her kinetic anxiety on a treadmill.
Okay, a treadmill. How so?
When you're spiraling about falling behind in life, that I'm still right here, feeling, she mentioned sitting still in silence with your eyes closed, can feel incredibly unmooring.
Oh, I see.
Your brain is screaming at you that you are falling behind, and the meditation app is telling you to do nothing. That creates immense internal friction.
Yeah, the silence just creates a vacuum that the achievement dysmorphia rushes right into.
Precisely. It's the opposite of the intended effect. But tangible, structured learning provides a mechanism that meditation lacks. It gives a sense of immediate control, forward momentum, and measurable success.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. When you use a Pomodoro timer, you know exactly what the next 25 minutes looks like. You have boundaries.
Whereas the infinite scroll of social media has no edges and no finish line. You can never successfully win at scrolling.
Exactly. But you can definitively finish a 25-minute focus session. The UI designers are leveraging the power of completion.
Because you can actually finish a short e-learning module.
Yes. It directly neutralizes that stagnant feeling because you're proving to your brain in real time and with visual progress bars that you are moving forward.
Wow.
So for Daya, productivity isn't a different flavor of pressure. It's an active, bounded antidote to the boundless helplessness induced by social media.
She is replacing passive, infinite comparison with active, finite progress. When you frame it like that, it sounds like a brilliant structural concept for an app.
It really does. On paper, it's brilliant.
But this is a UI design project, which means eventually this pristine psychological theory has to crash into the messy reality of the consumer market.
Oh, absolutely. The research hit some very sharp practical hurdles almost immediately.
Right, because Daya's reaction to the pitch isn't just pure, unadulterated excitement. As soon as she hears the concept, her analytical brain kicks in with a major practical concern. She immediately asks the interviewer if this app will require a monthly paid subscription.
Which is the reality of app development.
Yeah. She brings up a platform called MySkill and asks if it will use a similar paywall model. And the interviewer has to acknowledge that, yes, this is a massive consideration. Subscriptions change the entire dynamic of the tool.
They really do. Introducing a paywall fundamentally alters the psychological relationship a user has with a mental health intervention. It introduces the concept of ROI, return on investment.
Right.
If an app is free, you use it when you need it.
Right.
But if you're paying $10 or $15 a month for it, the app ceases to be just a tool. It becomes a monthly obligation.
You suddenly feel this intense pressure of, I am paying good money for this peace of mind, so I better be aggressively relaxing and doing my productivity healing modules every single day, or I'm wasting my money.
Exactly. It attaches financial guilt to a mental health journey. The designers have to figure out how to mitigate that ROI anxiety. Do they use a freemium model? Do they offer grace periods?
Because if they don't solve the financial friction, the app becomes just another source of the exact stress it's supposed to alleviate.
Right back where you started.
And the financial aspect is only half of the real-world friction Daya brings up. The other half is a phenomenon that is just painfully relatable to anyone with a smartphone. She describes the typical life cycle of downloading an app, which the designers identify as app fatigue.
App fatigue. It is the silent killer of well-intentioned software.
Totally. Daya explains that she will download an app with the absolute best intentions. She wants to feel productive, she wants to heal, but then the reality of a cluttered digital ecosystem sets in.
Yeah, she admits that she literally forgets the app exists.
I do that all the time.
We all do. There are simply too many other applications on her device, all competing fiercely for her attention. And her personal rule for dealing with this digital clutter is absolutely brutal.
It is so harsh. She tells the interviewer that if she forgets to open the app for just 1 or 2 days, her thought process immediately becomes, whatever, just uninstall it since I never use it anyway.
1 or 2 days. That is a razor-thin margin of error for a developer to work with.
It's the digital equivalent of buying an expensive gym membership, never going, and then canceling it out of pure guilt.
That's a perfect comparison. But think about the environment that app lives in. It's like trying to peacefully meditate in the middle of Times Square.
Right.
Even if your productivity healing app is open, it's sitting on a home screen, surrounded by flashing notifications from highly addictive, mathematically optimized social media platforms.
Yeah, the social apps are engineered to be effortless dopamine traps, whereas the educational mental health app actually requires cognitive effort. It requires the user to actively choose the harder path.
And when Daya inevitably misses a day because she was distracted by the louder, more aggressive apps, the pressure of that expected daily usage turns the helpful tool into a nagging chore.
It just becomes another thing she failed at.
Exactly. The feeling of falling behind on her mental health app triggers the exact same achievement dysmorphia she was trying to escape on social media. She failed to be productive at her own productivity-based healing.
That is a staggering irony. The tool specifically designed to cure her "I'm not doing enough" anxiety ends up getting permanently deleted because she feels like she's not doing enough on the app itself.
It really is.
The sudden whatever, just uninstall it reaction isn't just flippant, right? It's a harsh self-preservation tactic. She is swiftly removing the source of her guilt.
It is the fastest, easiest way for her to regain a sense of control over her environment. You cannot easily delete the societal pressure to succeed.
Unfortunately not.
Right. You can't delete the feeling of being stagnant. But you can absolutely hold your thumb down on an app icon and delete the software that's reminding you that you missed your Pomodoro study session for 2 days straight.
Just make it disappear. This forces you to really evaluate the UI design of the things we interact with daily. The developers are tracking retention rates and drop-offs, trying to figure out how to gamify mental health without making the user feel like they are losing the game.
The danger of gamifying mental health with streaks, badges, and daily usage metrics is that it operates on an all-or-nothing binary. You either maintain the streak or you fail, and the counter resets to 0.
Yeah.
But human healing does not operate on a binary. It's messy, it's inconsistent, and it requires pauses. When a UI designer forces a non-linear human healing process into a linear digital streak, the user will eventually break the streak.
And when they do, the guilt often drives them to abandon the tool entirely.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered incredible ground today analyzing Daya's transcript. We started by looking at the harsh, hidden reality of the relaxation paradox, how the innocent desire to kill some time online gets hijacked by algorithmic feeds, spiraling into a heavy, exhausting achievement dysmorphia where we feel stagnant compared to a curated world.
And we then explored the fascinating counterintuitive pivot to productivity as a coping mechanism. We looked at how structured, bounded progress like an e-learning module or a strict Pomodoro timer can actually offer significantly more psychological safety to an overthinking brain than traditional abstract mindfulness.
Because it provides a tangible antidote to the feeling of falling behind.
Right.
But finally, we crashed into the wall of app fatigue and subscription guilt. We saw how easily a tool designed to heal can transform into just another demanding chore on a cluttered home screen, leading to that brutal, unforgiving 1 or 2 day uninstall rule. It is a lot to process about the way our devices are currently built.
It's a vital audit of our digital habits, I think. The line between a tool that serves you and a trap that drains you is incredibly thin, and often defined entirely by how the user interface is structured.
Which leads me to something I want you listening right now to deeply consider. Take a hard inventory of your own digital habits this week. Look at the apps you open when you are tired. Are the tools you're using to decompress actually helping you relax, or are they quietly feeding your anxiety and demanding more of your energy?
Yeah, check if you're subconsciously fighting for your status when you should be resting.
And beyond just the apps, there is a lingering thought from Daya's interview that I just can't shake. She noted that missing just 1 or 2 days on a self-care app is enough reason for her to completely uninstall it, to just give up on the intervention entirely.
Yeah.
If we are so quick to permanently delete a digital tool out of mild forgetfulness or the guilt of breaking a minor streak, are we treating our own real-life mental health journeys with that exact same all-or-nothing impatience?
That's a great question, because healing isn't a streak you maintain on a glowing screen. It doesn't reset to 0 just because you needed a day off.
What would it look like to build a tool, or far more importantly, to cultivate a mindset that actually forgives you for taking a pause? True relaxation shouldn't come with a penalty for breaking a daily streak. You shouldn't have to shout your resume in a digital sauna just to feel worthy of taking a breath. So until next time, take a look at your home screen, give yourself some much-needed grace, and maybe allow yourself to truly power down.